Hey guys, it's Jerry with Off the Shelf Games, and we're going to teach you how to play Alubari, a nice cup of tea. This is a game by Tony Riedel, and it's published by Studio H. So yeah, let's get to it. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to want to lay out the board like so. Alright, so next you're going to want to put your blockage tokens out, and you're going to put them out depending upon the number of players you have playing. Your blockage tokens are going to go on your chai track right here, or on Darjeeling Station here. So if you're playing with 5 players, you put nothing out there. If you're playing with 4 players, you're going to take this blockage token and put it on this last space right here of the chai track. If you're playing with 3 players, you're going to take this other one and put it on this space of the chai track. And then if you're playing with 2 players, you're going to take this one and put it onto that space of the Darjeeling Station. Again, we're going to set up a 3-player game, so I'm going to take this off, but I'm going to leave these 2 on the chai track. So next you're going to want to get your weather tokens, and they are the rain, the sun, and the clouds, along with these 2 cloud tiles, and you're going to put them on the board. Then you're going to take them and you're going to place them next to the board by the weather track. This is the weather track. Place them right over here next to the board. And take your 2 cloud tokens and they go right there. Alright, so next you're going to take these 3 black discs and you're going to put them on these 3 tracks at the start spot. You have your excavation work track, your laid tracks work track, and your harvest work track. Like so. Alright, so next you want to separate out your rubble, your steel, your tea leaves, and your game ownership markers. It'll be noted that the rubble comes in denomination of 1 piece of rubble, which is a cube, or 5 pieces, which is this round disc. And also the tea leaves come in 1s and 5s. Next, you're going to want to set up your overlay cards. Now, depending on your player count will depend on what cards you put out. It comes with some cards here, and it tells you what player counts each one's for and what space it's in. They're double-sided, so if I was playing 1 or 2 players, I would use this card in block A. 4 to 5 players would be this card in block A. This is 4 players in block C, or 5 players in block C. We're playing a 3-player game, and the board comes up set up for a 3-player game already. Everything is already set up for 3 players. You're going to want to leave this card by the board, and it's going to come into play later. Put it by block B. I'll explain that later, but for now, just set it there. Next, you want to take your contract cards. They have these contracts on one side and weather conditions on the other side. You're going to take them and you're going to shuffle them up. Next, you're going to take your shuffle deck and you're going to take them, put them face down or weather side up here in this spot on the board. Then you're going to take the top 2 cards and turn them face up here, like so. Then you look at the top card and see what the weather is. Here it's cloudy, and you're going to take that cloudy disc and you're going to put it right here. You're going to flip that card over, and then you see what the next one is, and the next one is also cloudy, and you're going to place it right there. Next, you're going to take your TSA cards, and these are them, and they are double-sided. So you're just going to take them, shuffle them up, and at random place them on the TSA place spaces based upon the number of players. I'll point out that there's one printed on the board right now. For your first game, they recommend using that one. So we are going to use that one, and we're just going to randomly place it out here for 3-player count. So I'm going to flip this one there, and there we go. I'm not going to place any on the 4 to 5 or the 5-player spaces. Next, we're going to put rubble on our TS8s based upon these black numbers in each of these spaces. So this says 4, I'm going to put 4 rubble in that space. I would put 4 here, 4 here, This one I would put 3, and this one I would put 10. So 2 of these. So it'll look like this when you're done. Next, you're going to take your equipment cards, and they look like this. They have a cost up here. It's usually in steel. Sometimes it's chai. You're going to take them, you're going to shuffle them up. It says to take 7. There's only 8 that comes to the base game. I think some expansions will add some more equipment cards. So I'm just going to shuffle these up and just randomly take 1 out. And then you're going to take them and you're going to set them up next to the board. If it says it comes with chai, like this, you're going to take a chai cube and place it on there. So it'll look like that when you're done. Next, we're going to seed our bag. We're going to seed it with iron ore, stone, and chai. Based upon this chart here, we're going to playing a 3-player game. So we're going to put in 27 iron ore, 15 stone, and all the remaining chai cubes in our bag. So here I'm going to take my 15 stone, put it in the bag, my 27 iron ore, and the rest of the chai. It's going to go back and it's going to go into the bag, shake it up, and the other ones I'm going to put back in the box. Next, you're going to seed the board with the supplies of your iron ore, stone, and chai. So next you're going to shake up your bag and you're going to pull out 12 to start the game. And you're going to place them on the board in the appropriate spaces. So I pulled out 12. Iron ore go there, stone goes there, and chai goes there. Next you're going to take the 5 white event cubes and you're going to take them and you're going to put them in your bag and shake them up. Next, you're going to give each player their own color and their set of pieces. They're going to get 3 workers in their color and 20 ownership markers in their color. We're going to be setting up a 3-player game consisting of red, yellow, and purple. Each player is going to take one of their workers and place it here in the tea house, like so. They're also going to take one of their ownership markers and put it in the 0 spot of the chai track, like so. So now your board should look like this. You're all set up, ready to play, and the last thing you need to do is pick a first player and give them the first player marker. We did this earlier, and in our example game, purple's going to go first. The game of Alubari is played over a series of rounds, with each round divided into 5 phases, carried out in the following order. Phase 1 is restock the contract cards, located here. Phase 2 is adjust the weather, located here. Phase 3 is restock the stockyard and process any events, located up here and here. Phase 4 is assign workers to the actions, located up here. And Phase 5 is resolve the actions and check for end of game, again up here. At the end of the game, final scoring will be performed and the player with the most points will win. Phases 1, 2, and 3 are skipped for the first turn. They don't come into play until the start of the second turn. So starting your first turn, you're going to go straight to Phase 4. The game ends at the end of the round in which the last track space on the railway, right there, has been built, either by a player or a game event. In the solo or 2-player game, the game may end before the last track. In a solo game, as soon as you place your last scoring marker, and in a 2-player game, as soon as one player has placed their last scoring marker. The opponent plays one additional round by themselves before the game ends. In Phase 1, restock the contract cards. What you're going to do is you're going to take the topmost contract card, move it up to this space. Everything else will move up, and you'll take the top card from the deck and reveal it, like so. In Phase 2, adjust the weather, what you're going to do is you're going to move your weather tokens down 1 space. You're going to look at this top card and place the corresponding token Up here, this will be the weather that's upcoming. And then you're going to adjust the weather based upon whether it's sunny, rainy, or cloudy. In this case, it's cloudy, so what we're going to do is we're going to lower our T track by 1 and place the cloud tokens on B and D. If it was raining, we would put our excavation down 1 and our work track down 1, but our tea leaves would go up 1. And if it was sunny, our excavation would go up 2 and our laid tracks would go up 2. If your excavation work rate or crop harvest work rate are at the end of the tracks and they gain more, they'll come over here and do a harvest action and come back. Harvest action is going to be the amount of tea estates each player has, and you're going to multiply it by the crop rate. So in this example, purple has 3 estates, yellow has 2, and red has 1. So based upon that, purple will get 3 times 2 or 6 tea leaves, yellow will get 2 times 2 and 4, and red will only get 2 tea leaves. So that's the work rates and the harvest action. In phase 3, you're going to restock the stockyard by pulling a number of cubes from your bag and placing them where they belong. The number of cubes you pull are going to be based upon the number of players.
You're going to increase.
In a 2-player game, you're going to pull 6. In a 3-player game, 9. And in a 4 and 5-player game, you're going to pull 12. So you're going to pull those cubes and place them. There's 9. And they're going to go in the corresponding spaces on the board, with the exception of the white event cubes, which they will be placed here one at a time, resolving the events as you go through them.
The event track keeps track of events and moves the game along. Each time an event cube, one of these white cubes, is pulled, you're going to place it and perform that action. The first action is the excavate action, and what you're going to do is you're going to clear off rubble on the first 2 tea estate spaces that have rubble on them, and you're going to place the white ownership markers in those spaces. The next action is crops grow. The crop marker 2 spaces. If a harvest action is revealed, you're going to perform that. The third event space is the track is laid space, and you're going to perform a number of laying tracks actions dependent upon the track space here, which is 1. So you will go to the first empty track space and place an ownership marker there for the board. The fourth event space is the station building space, where you are going to go to the first empty station, excluding Siliguri Town. So in this example, it would be Sukuna, and you're going to put a white game ownership marker in each empty space there, completing that station. And you're also going to take the cubes from 1, 2, and 3 and place them back into the bag. The next event space is the equipment maintenance space, and you are going to have to pay either 1 steel or 2 chai for each equipment card that you own. If they cannot pay the cost or wish not to, they may return the card back to the shed and it may be repurchased. If it had chai to begin with, it does not get any more chai. The next space is the harvest and lay track space. You will perform a harvest and a lay track action. And then the circle is complete once you come back to square 1. You will do an excavate action again, and if there are any white cubes on there, you're going to take the 3 off, put them back in the bag, and you're also going to do the stockyard adjustment, where any cubes more than 7 for iron ore, more than 4 for stone, or more than 1 for chai is put back into the bag.
Phase 4 is assign workers to actions. where in turn order you will assign a worker to one of the action spaces. Up here like so. Before placing your workers, you can, if you have the ability, pay a resource, normally chai, to get your extra worker for that one turn. And I'll go over that more later. And finally, in phase 5, you're going to remove your workers and resolve the actions of the spaces where they were. And you're going to go in order from A to G, 1, 2, and 3. Now to go over what each space does for your resolving. Space A is the stockyard, and you may take up to 3 blocks from the stockyard. One of them can be a chai. Then you can also spend a chai to take an additional 2 blocks. One of those can be a chai. When you spend chai, you will just move down 1 on the chai track. So in this example, if yellow spends a chai, they'll move down to the 1 space. If you are in the last space here that's got the first player marker, when you resolve that action, you also take the first player marker action. When you take a chai cube, you do not keep the chai cube. It goes out of the game, but you will increase your chai up on this track here. When resolving space B, you're going to do the excavate. You will take a number of rubble cubes off of the T estates based upon the track over here. You may spend a chai to remove an additional 3 rubble from the tracks. If when you're removing the rubble, you clear a space, you put one of your ownership markers in that location. When we're resolving C, this foundry, you may trade up to 3 times a certain amount of resources for other resources, where you may trade in 3 iron ore to get 1 steel, or you can trade in 2 rubble for 1 stone, or 1 stone for 2 rubble. You may pay a chai to do this as many times as you want, and 2 iron ore will equal 1 steel instead of 3. Location D is the lay track spot where you may build tracks. Each track is going to cost you 1 steel. You may build the amount of tracks dependent upon the lay track down here. You can always pay 1 chai to build an additional 2 tracks, doesn't matter where you are on the track here. Space E is the building space, and here you may either build a station or buy an equipment. Some of them will give you victory points at the end of the game. They will give you the option to hire the extra worker for 1 chai, and some of them will give you bonuses during the game. Stations are these spaces here, and the cost is here depending on the station you go to. It's either going to cost you rubble, stone, or steel. Once you build a station, you'll get the reward there listed, whether it be victory points or something else. F is where you will get a contract card. You come here, you're going to get one of the contract cards here. When you do get a contract card, you're not going to refill that space. You can also, if you want, spend a chai to clear all the contract cards and refill them. All contract cards have 2 abilities. One-time use action, and an endgame scoring bonus action. If you use the top one-time use action, you're just going to tap the card to show that you've used it, and it's no longer available. The endgame is always going to be available at the end of the game. And finally, space G is the chai walla, where you can get a number of tea leaves depending on the tea track down here, or you may convert any amount of tea leaves that you have into chai, which is tracked here. It's to be noted that you cannot go past the end on the chai track. The game ends at the end of the round, of which the last
track here is built next to Darjeeling Station. At the end of that round, you will go to end game scoring. All victory points at end of game are shown here in these yellow squares. Contract cards for end of game scoring are limited, meaning that I can only score these if I have the right amount of pieces. For example, if I only built 3 tracks, I can score this one if I also have 3 tea estates to give me 31 victory points. Or I can score these 2 tracks here. If I only have 3 built tracks, I cannot score both. I would have to pick. If I don't have the estates, I might want to take this one for 15 victory points. If I have the 3 estates, obviously I'm going to want this one for 31. At the end of the game, you're going to score points based upon tea estates and stations, tracks laid, completed contract cards, tea leaves, and chai, and finally equipment. Whoever has the most points will win.